Dan Passarelli here. Next up in our Greek series is what is gamma? So we talked about delta already, right? So if we look at the deltas of these options here, like I mentioned, the at the money is pretty close to 50. The further in the money, the higher the delta. The further out of the money, the lower the delta. And so intuitively, that means that when the stock price changes, the delta must change, right? Because what's at the money now can be in or out of the money later. And gamma measures that change. Now, I personally don't have a column for gamma in my option chain. I think it's very important to understand the concept of gamma, that deltas change, but not necessarily to use the exact math for it because there's a little trick to it. So the idea is if you own options, gamma makes deltas change in your favor. If, say, you own a call, as the stock goes higher, the call gets more in the money, thus its delta gets bigger, thus you make money at an increasing rate. As the stock falls, you lose on that call, but you lose at a decreasing rate because the call is getting more out of the money. So this holds true for calls and puts and spreads and any option position. Positive owning options gives you positive gamma, and that always helps you. Being short options gives you negative gamma, and that hurts you. Now, the trick to it is I always like to model trades. So, for example, if I'm buying this call and selling this call, I can go to the risk profile, and then I can do what's called adding a slice. And I can say, okay, if the stock is up $2, what change occurs in my delta? Okay, well, it looks like with the stock up $2, my delta gets a little bit smaller because we're moving closer to our short strike. If the stock moves lower, we can just add a slice here and say minus $2. Oops. Minus $2. We see the delta gets a little bigger because we move closer to the long strike. Because remember, long options have positive gamma, short options have negative gamma. Whichever strike you're closest to is the dominant Greeks. That's true for all Greeks except delta. So that's a little trick where you don't have to go through and use the math of gamma because gamma itself, as you can see, always changes, and it gets a little bit trickier than delta, theta, or vega as far as using the actual numbers. So when you model your trades out, I like to look at different slices so that I can see how my delta changes, see the gamma effect in action. So that's gamma in a nutshell. Hope that helps. This is Dan Passarelli, Trade Smart.